let me tell you the anatomy of a story. In the storytelling language, we call this as a story spine. So we'll do this quick exercise for which I need 5 people on the stage. Okay, so let me ask you, how do stories start? It's there on the slide, at least read that. It starts with once upon a time. So ma'am, you will be starting the story with once upon a time.
Okay.
And you'll add whatever imagination to it. Once upon a time, blah, 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 blah. Okay? And sir, you will then add a little more information saying, and then, something happened, or and then this was going on. In continuation to what she has said, you would kind of make it an everyday thing.
So once upon a time, a little girl got inspired by Donald Trump and decided to be President of America.
Wonderful.
Every day she used to listen to Donald Trump's speeches and read the tweets he posts and make up like a big mess of things.
Okay.
And she get inspired from the Donald Trump, whatever he does.
Okay.
Like doing all the mannerisms he has, the monkey face,
Okay.
all these things.
Okay. The story is getting interesting, but suddenly,
the lady decided to become president of India. Because she thought it's better than America.
yeah, many people from other countries think that. Yeah.
And when she decided to become the Prime Minister of India, President of India, she realized how powerless he is and how indifference he makes to the country.
You are going through a lot of frustration, I must. Yeah. Go ahead.
So because of all this powerlessness and all the situation, she thinks to rise back again.
Great. There is hope now. Yeah. Finally.
She won the election and lived happily ever after.
Yeah, she won the election, guys. Come on. Please. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You can please go back. In a matter of a couple of minutes, using a small story spine, we could come up with a story. And not just story, but when we involve some subjects, we are able to come up with the nuances of how people think. And this is what we call as a technique, story harvesting. Now, what is a beat? Beat is basically an emotional high to your audience. How many of you have seen the movie Toy Story? Yeah, a lot of you. So, in the Toy Story movie, Woody is one popular character, or one of the lead characters, and there is star Buzz Light, who is another character. Now, Woody realizes that there is a dark side to him. Like he is jealous of Star Lightbuzz, right? And Star Lightbuzz realizes that he is not the only one that has been created, but there are a million other Star Buzz Lightyears that have been created. These two are no way connected to the story of Toy Story. But these two are emotional highs to the audience, which are those beats that keep the audience engaged. And for you, when you are making a video, we are writing a script, it is essential for you to know what are the beats. Every why is a beat. Every why is that particular peg point where people have held on to certain feelings, memories, emotions. Now, story is very simple. Something is there, something happens, and something results. In the storytelling language, we call this as context, conflict, and a climax. Something is there, something happens, and something results. Amitabh Bachchan dies. Similarly, relating it to your business, there is a requirement, there is a delivery, client dies. You deliver. Here is what I want you to do. You will build, the three of you will build a story. And not just a story, but you will present it as a play. And here are some rules for this play. So the three of you will be participating in the play. The play will not have any dialogues. The play will last only 3 seconds. And the play will have only 3 scenes. So the play would go on something like this. I request Rahul and Varsha to come up. This is how you would be performing after, all of you would be performing at the same time. So this is how the play goes, the one that we devised. Scene 1. Scene 2. Scene 3. Thank you. Go back. So, I don't know how many of you got it or not. The idea that we tried to project was that there's a piece of art, none of us understand what it is, but we like to take selfies with it. So the only way we can think of a story, we can push the story, is when there is a conflict within the story. So try to relate to your businesses, to your products, or whatever you're trying to do, and understand what's exactly your story in terms of the anatomy, beats, and the conflict that we are dealing. What happens in the brain right now is that when you're looking at data, there are only 2 points of your brain that are active. Whereas when you hear a story, there are 7 parts that are active. Every story triggers attention, emotion, and action. So depending on your target audience, what kind of quality is expected, what kind of level of skills are expected is really, really important, because they trigger the right emotion and the right action towards the end of it. Let me open my workshop, indulging you all in a small story, just so that you'll be able to recollect what I have said. And I'll just give you a small story for the story. I remember that once I read somewhere that the great writer Salman Rushdie, every time when he gets stuck with writing something, he has this habit of going off to a far-off place in a secluded area, staying alone, and try to work on the piece that he is writing. So on one of such occasions, he goes to this house in Scotland where there is nothing else for miles and miles apart from this house. There is just an old housekeeper and a dog. And the dog keeps barking as soon as Mr. Rushdie enters the house. So he asks the watchman, why is the dog barking? And he says, it's because if someone unfamiliar comes here, the dog gets a little jittery. So Mr. Rushdie says, I'll go and speak to the dog, let me see if that helps. He goes, speaks to the dog for an hour, comes back, and the dog is absolutely silent. Now the watchman asks him, what happened? While Mr. Rushdie says that scientifically it was just because the dog was afraid of me. Since I spent an hour with it, it got familiar, and so it didn't bark again. As a writer, he interprets this in a different way. When I see the dog, I felt like this dog was yearning to know what's happening in the world around it. The way it was looking at me was like, I stay in this place secluded that I don't know just what's happening in this world. And as a living creature, I would like to know what's happening in the world. So contribute to my little knowledge and expand my boundaries of my mind just by an inch. And that would make me happy. And when I spoke to the dog, probably I expanded the boundaries of the dog's mind by an inch. And as storytellers, that's exactly what we all do. Expand the boundaries of your audience by an inch and make them buy the concept or the product that you are trying to sell them just a little more progressively, or looking at it as an expansion of that particular 1 inch. So, welcome to the presentation and the workshop on power of narrative.